Welcome to Virtual Concert Hall's live programs. Thank you for joining us. My name is Jennifer Savage, and I will be your host for today's show. Today, we will be exploring the topic of we are all capable of anything. And we'll explore this as it relates to our lives, our experiences, and anywhere from the lens of musician, artist, manager, performer, and all the way down to eye level of the crude and unfiltered human being. What circumstances? Under what, given the right circumstances, what circumstances do we mean? How do you prevent certain acts? Find out what Jack Price really thinks. There is no one-size-fits-all answer, and this could leave you with more questions than simple answers, but it's more real that way, and that's what we're here for. And right here is a quick little preview to recap our last episode. Check it out. Think before you act.
An extension of stop, look, and listen. Think before you act, but also think before you say. Now, that's a big concept. I don't know if it's ever been put to you that way, but...
no, never. Not in that order.
I know, I just thought of it.
Oh, all right.
Just kidding. Okay. Now, I'm the worst in these areas, and that's why I'm an expert in this area.
Right.
You know, let's say I'm talking to a very important conductor, okay? You should really think about what you're about to say. You should have it together and well thought out before you utter a word to him. If you're going to talk to him about that, you better have your blank together, you know. So think before you say something to Lauren Moselle. But you don't say, how's it going to Moselle? You say, Maestro, how are you? And, you know.
And go from there.
Did you have a nice breakfast? You know. Mr. Moselle, can I do your pension fund benefit at Cleveland next September? You know, you don't say things like that.
Yeah.
Because that is suggesting that you be the soloist for the biggest concert of the year. Once a word remains in your mouth, you're the master. Once a word leaves your mouth, you're a slave.
Yeah, I'm sure you've caught yourself, right?
Oh, I've caught myself in front of conductors all my life.
It's always you and conductors. Yeah.
It's always me and conductors. If you and I go, you can't conduct, can you? Now, I don't say that, but that's exactly what I'm thinking most of the time. But wait a minute. I have a point to this, Jennifer.
Yeah,
I shouldn't have said that, but I did. You see, that's the thing. I did say it. My very last week of my career, I played a concert somewhere, the moment before the moment of truth. There was nothing to lose. It was absolutely a selfish act. So I was true to myself because I said, I'm done with this. I can't believe my very last concert or second to last concert is going to be a painful experience again. So I said, forget it. forget it. I'm not interested in making music with a high school band. You know what I'm saying? Okay? It's important to think before you say or act, because what you say or what act you perform is what is going to be remembered. So you better say what you want to say. Say what you mean and mean what you say. And if you do that, you're always thinking before you utter a word or you act an act. You enact an act. That's the missing link. Get it? I'm a poet and you don't know it.
Wow.
So I've
Great
been
rhymes.
rhyming a lot lately. I should be a rapper.
Right. And that was our last recap episode. And today, I am excited to be joined live with co-host and celebrated partner in crime, Agronitamian, otherwise known as Jack Price. And to give a little introduction, formerly known as Agronitamian and now known as Jack Price, he began his career in artist management in response to his own career as an RCA recording artist after winning first prize in the 50th anniversary Now Bird competitions, as well as being known as the crazy pianist who premiered The Right for solo piano. Welcome to the show, Jack Price.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So you like my sculpture
Right.
garden here?
Yeah, very
This is
gold
called
themed.
Piano Trio, you see, because it has 3 players in it, you see.
Yeah, look at them. They're clamoring all over the keys.
Yeah, one's a conductor and the others are playing the piano. And then the one behind it directly there is Connection, and the other one is called Outer People by Talik Winter, those two. This one's by
beautiful.
Michael McLeaf, who's no longer with us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. So let's move on here and get right into the topic today, which is we are all capable of anything, given the right circumstances. Let's see what is behind door number 1. So,
Okay. Well,
given the right circumstances, what circumstances?
yeah,
Go ahead.
the original title for the show was Given the Right Circumstances, We're All Capable of Anything. That's the title. So the question is, what circumstances are we talking about?
Yeah.
The answer is all circumstances. In other words, there isn't a circumstance in the world that isn't going to get some sort of reaction or action from a person. In other words, a circumstance commands action. For example, if you're walking down the street with your dog, okay, that's a circumstance. What's going to happen? Well, if someone else is walking their dog, they're going to start fighting and barking, and sometimes a fight ensues, and you got to break them up. That's a circumstance. What do? You obviously have to have them on one of those retractable leashes, and you pull on it, and then you start talking to the other owner, and if it's a female and you're a male, you start flirting with them, and dogs usually lead to relationships. You know that, right? So anyway, I'm just kidding, of course.
Jack Price is true. Yeah.
Jack Price is right, not really. But some people think it's a good way to meet people is to have their dogs get in a fight. So, given the right circumstances, we're all capable of anything. So, but I'm really referring to things that it's a loaded thing. This whole topic is, I'm really referring to things that are very ominous and dangerous, and people say, "Oh, I could never do that." I love that phrase. I love it when I hear someone in the grocery store on the phone. I'm getting my little soup or something, and I would never do that, or I can't imagine doing that. And they go, "Oh, that's despicable and disgusting." All of those things, all of them, every single instant or whatever you're talking about, can be executed very well by you and me and anybody given the right circumstances.
We're all capable, even though everyone's going, I could never do that, or I could never imagine doing that myself, right?
Take murder. Okay,
Okay.
they flash up on the screen. Oh, this person just got caught. He's a renegade. He killed four nurses, execution style. I'm
Right.
not saying that anybody I probably very few people would line up 4 people in a nursing home or whatever and shoot them execution style. But the point is, it's been done. For example, what comes to mind is TCBY. What's the name of that yogurt? I can't believe it's yogurt.
Boy?
No,
I
ICB.
can't believe it's butter.
No,
Yeah.
it's a franchise that used to be all over Texas and Arizona. It's a yogurt
Chobani?
franchise. No. This is a long time ago. And in Austin, some guy lined up all the girls that were in this TCBY yogurt place and shot them. So this was a big deal. It made headlines all over the world. 4 young college girls shot execution style in a yogurt shop. They were all working in this yogurt shop. And the first thing I heard, of course, I lived in Austin for 7 years, so that's why I was particularly interested in the story. And of course, it's devastating to hear something like that. And you go, oh my God, who would do that? Isn't that the first reaction?
Yeah, what kind of person would do that? Yeah.
You would do that. I would do that. We're all capable, absolutely capable. If push comes to shove, we're capable of anything. I'm not saying you're capable of an execution style murder. I'm not saying I'm capable of hanging somebody by their toenails. I'm saying that many of the things we despise and we claim to be abhorrible and disgusting and revolting.
It's so beyond any
Yes,
realm of reach. Yeah.
And what comes to mind,
Seemingly.
of course, is almost every priest has sermonized about the next topic, is that scene in the Bible where, Jesus is in front of Pilate and the crowd and the Pharisees, and they say, Pilate says, what should I do with your king of the Jews? And the crowd goes, crucify him. Crucify him. And I've heard people in church, because I've been to church a lot in my life, they go, oh, I can't believe they said that. I mean, that's Jesus they're talking about. I mean, I would have never done that. And I go, really?
You would have been the one person in the crowd who's,
There isn't one person in the world that is not capable or could not have been capable of saying those words. Why? Because he was a polarizing figure, and many of the people that were saying that, first of all, were bribed to say it, and others weren't bribed, and they felt that he betrayed them by not shooting thunderbolts from his eyes and killing the Romans and freeing them from their oppression. And so they thought of him as a traitor, and that's why they said kill him. So if you're in that position where you feel betrayed and you feel like this person was your only great white hope, and he fails, you're going to say, oh yeah, get rid of him. Garbage. That's what I'm saying. In other words, we tend to say, oh, that's just awful. I hear this all the time. Like, I hear it from my kids. I hear it, oh, I can't believe anybody would do that. I can't believe anyone would think that.
And what do you say? Do you say, I believe it?
Wait a minute. I can't believe anyone would say that, because people say, you are what your thoughts are. You are what you say. You are what your actions portray. You are. And the fact is, we are all in that situation at some time or another, given a certain situation and circumstance. We're all capable of the best things in life and the worst. And until you examine your life and admit that to yourself, I don't believe you can be free.
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah.
We're all capable of anything, and we should not judge. Otherwise, we will be judged. That's what this whole thing is about. That given the right circumstances, take Judas, come on. There are a lot of people that would have done what he did. Peter, a lot of people would have done what he did. The woman in Houston that drowned 4 of her kids in the bathtub. This has happened more than once. So therefore, it is possible. I mean, it's not like the first time anybody's ever decapitated someone. They said, these decapitations that go on in these Arabic
These terrible
countries.
things.
And
Yeah.
terrible, horrible things like Pearl, that guy that was the New York Times editor that was beheaded way back in Afghanistan or stuff. Oh, people this is
Think
just
about it,
unthinkable. No, it's actually very thinkable.
Because it's happened, and it is happening, and it will continue to happen, right?
It will continue to happen because of what? People. You can't change. The only way to fight an idea is with another idea. You can't shoot it. You can't kill it. You can't stomp on it. You can only fight back with another idea. So, let's just say that
your idea is not to judge. So try not to judge other people, because then you will be judged, right? You mentioned that.
Well, yeah, that's also biblical. And I believe that too. I don't believe in judging. I believe in evaluating. I believe in making certain judgments daily, but these are not life and death. I mean, I make judgments for my business. I decide to take somebody and decide not to take some. These are decisions. These are not, life and death judgments,
right. When you say judgment, there's something more almost personal to it, right?
Yeah. But what I am saying is it all comes back to, oh, I can't believe it. Oh, I can't believe they said it. Oh, I can't believe they did it. Believe it.
Believe it.
A lot of things happen. There's another saying, don't travel in the avenues or boulevards where you're going to get in trouble. In other words, if you're going to get in trouble if you do something, like, what comes to mind, and I'm not going to even mention it, but in interpersonal relationships, don't get in situations where don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to get into trouble. In other words, think before you talk, think before you act. It's the same as the last show. Okay, see, all these shows really are intertwined. Yeah, they're very interconnected, and that's why we have a show, because they're all in some way the same thing. Like
different ways and different ways to think of different methods and different ways to think about kind of the same few tenets in life, almost, to live by and and see the world in.
Yeah.
So let me ask you. Yeah. So when it comes to you're mentioning all these people in, for example, a church, and they're all going like, I can't believe Judas could do that to somebody, or I would never do that, right?
And
these exclamations.
God, I can't believe that. I would have never.
I would have. Yeah. Right.
I would have stepped on my knees and believed.
Yeah. Why do you think? Why do they say that? Why do they make these exclamations? Like, why do they do that? Why do people feel that?
Because they want to vilify people to make themselves feel better. That's why. In my opinion, people judge to be exalted. They judge, I would never do that.
To elevate themselves, right? I mean that's a bit cynical, but you could say that they're saying that because they just want to distance themselves out of, genuine, recognition of how terrible that act is. Like these shootings or murders that you're talking about, these terrible things, these awful acts, Yeah. It's so terrible, they're afraid of it, and they want to distance themselves from it,
Distance, but also elevate, put themselves on another plane. In other words, if I wouldn't ever do that, and it's a despicable thing, that makes me look fantastic, you see. I'm in a position of exaltation. I am in a position of judging. I am like the president, and I go, you're going to jail or whatever. I mean, it's another one of those conventions that I can't stand. Judgment in itself is a convention. I mean, nobody should be judged. There's only one judge, in my opinion. Of course, for other people, it might be an amoeba. I don't know, or green slime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For me, it's
I
God.
believe that.
Okay. So that's the point.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like you shouldn't judge, otherwise you're going to be judged.
All right. Yeah. So
severely.
Gotcha. Okay. So the door
we're
number
capable.
one was what circumstances, and you're talking about how it's.
Any.
You're referring to any and all circumstances, but particularly more darker.
Yeah.
Circumstances.
I mean, obviously, what actors will say, "Oh, I really I sunk my teeth into that role." Well, you know what the role was? It was an evil role. People love to play bad guys because they're
Right.
fun.
Okay. All right.
If you play a good guy, it's not fun. It's
No,
I mean,
yeah.
like someone like Kurt Flood, great shortstop or whatever he was. I mean, there's no big deal to it. He was just a phenomenal baseball player. I mean,
Right.
but if you play an evil god or something, that's you see what I mean?
Okay. All right. Let's pivot
Next
here.
door.
Take
No.
a little quick break. Not yet. We'll get to that after this little clip from the JPIR archives with a little music interlude. So enjoy. Hope you enjoyed that brief little music interlude. And let's move on to what is behind door number 2.
How do you prevent
So-
certain acts? Yeah.
Given the right circumstances, we are all capable of anything. But
Yeah,
how do
so
you
if we're-
prevent that? These terrible things. Yeah.
Yeah, so if we're all capable of anything, and if that anything that we're capable of is bad, how would you prevent that bad act? Okay?
Yeah.
Again, I have to say it goes back to not
Episode.
diving in, it's another episode, not diving into things, headstrong or whatever the phrase
Head
is,
first.
like diving head first. Diving into things is not a good idea. What's the best result is going to come from, although it's not so in music, I believe the best result is from being impromptu and in the moment and taking chances. I think that's when the best music is played.
Yeah, although it's not
made
music.
It's not it's not at all advisable to be boring or methodical or thought out in music, except that you have to do that before you take the chances. In other words, it's good to practice before you play, because the playing is, you're going to throw it to the wind, and you're going to be much more improvisatory and free and excited by the moment with the audience there. You have to have something to back.
You have to build a base behind that so that you can, fly off the keys in the moment. Yeah.
It's like walking out to the piano and playing the piano after 10 years of never touching the piano. You're not going to be able to do it. Period. You're going to have spaghetti fingers.
Right.
I don't know of anybody that could do that really and be successful.
Yeah. Okay. But back to door number 2.
In other
preventing
words,
certain acts.
All right, let's just forget. Here's an act, okay? Bombing a concert, okay? Okay, so how do you prevent that act? The answer is simple: preparation. People tend to malign practice and, I don't need that. I knew a pianist. I'm not going to say who it is. I said, hey, how many hours a day do you practice? Dumb question, right? And he goes, I don't practice. And I said, it shows. You cannot do something good on stage without preparation. And I don't mean preparation H. I mean preparation. That's an ointment. Yeah. Okay. So it's a joke. Okay. I'm sorry, but you don't know what that is.
Over my head. Yeah.
Yeah. Go to your drugstore and find out. Anyway, so preparation is, there's so many facets of preparation. I like to think of it as mental preparation. In other words, you don't work out your problems at the instrument, for example. You work them out in your mind and then go to the instrument and work. In other words, if you just start, playing, it's not really going to solve the problem. You got to think about, actually visualize it physically and audially in your mind. Yeah. Visualize and audio. Yeah.
Auditorily. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever the phrase is, I can't think of it. But both hearing and seeing have to happen in your mind before it happens here or there or on the violin or whatever. You can't really do the work at the work. In other words, the preparation has to happen mentally before it can happen physically. Hence the saying, how do you prevent certain acts? And usually when we're talking about these certain acts, they're negative things. Okay?
Right.
Because we're using the word prevent. So now, what about good
specifically
things?
About negatives. I was going to ask that. So, given the right circumstances, we are all capable of anything. And we're talking about, here we're talking about murders and shootings and bombing a performance. What about, given the good circumstances, what are we capable of in a positive situation?
Okay, how about, are you prepared for success? Success is also it's like a conundrum. You can have great success and really handle it well, and you can have great success and not handle it well, i.e., drugs, alcohol, whatever. Not showing up for rehearsals, acting like a big shot, and then your career's over. Okay, my idea of success is not having success, but having success and knowing what to do with it. That is a true success.
The full package.
How do you prevent that other act of having success and having it fall right into the garbage can? Okay, here's how. Don't let it go to your head, because, boy, I can tell you, in a nanosecond, you can lose that success. It just, given the right circumstances, we are capable of being in those failing circumstances 100%. I mean, the economy can go down. Your particular instrument may go out of style.
Are you speaking from your personal experience with this first thing? Not letting it get to your head at all? Yeah.
Not really. I never did, because I didn't expect anything. I never expected anything. All I wanted to do was play better. That's been my thing all my life.
Yeah.
And of course, a lot of people say, "Oh, that's baloney." I know Richie, and he wanted stardom, and all that. Well, they never talked about it with
You
me,
never
so
questioned that. Yeah.
how
from
could
the
they
start.
know what I really wanted when we never had that conversation? It appears to them that I'm the kind of guy that would want stardom or success or name recognition. No, what I want to do is, quite honestly, is just work hard, get paid for a day's work, and then watch, Andy maybe a
Play better, maybe also.
Yeah, that's it.
Somewhere
Yeah,
in
that's
there.
what I mean. Yeah, just
Okay.
play better and improve and play to the best of your ability on every occasion, if that's possible, and call it a day. I'm not really interested in this, this hullabaloo about, who records for
Glitz
RCA,
and glam.
who records
Yeah.
for Deutsche Grammophon, who plays this tour with the, Shanghai Quartet. It doesn't really matter. What matters is the real essence of it. For example, I recently donated my music to somebody. Okay, all my music, my like my markings,
All your
my
physical
library,
copies.
my library.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
So I sent it off. Okay, it was in
Why'd
Tulsa.
you do
and I
that?
sent it.
Yeah.
Well, I sent it because, first of all, because I don't need it. I'm not playing anymore, and it's a lot of music. I had a lot of music in my library. I mean, it was, if you stacked it all together, it's a lot of money.
Substantial. Yeah.
Yeah, you know how much music costs. Even in those days, it was very expensive for Southern music or from Padelson's in New York or any of those
Yeah.
places. You would have to order stuff. Oh, give me, all the
Scores are hard to
runs.
find. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
well,
hard.
yeah, but now it's all online. But see, that's not the same thing. You like to have your own nice Wiener Urtext or Henley edition, and these are
Yeah.
expensive things. So I gave them away. And the person that got it said, this is the essence of it. It's one thing to have your recordings and the result of the work, but it's another thing to have the work itself. Meaning
In your hand.
In your hand. So they were honored to have it, this particular institution or whatever, because they were getting my markings on this particular passage or my ideas. I put down some breakthroughs. I didn't mark up all my music. As a matter of fact, most of my music is blank. So I just donated the library so they'd have a library. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So anyway, the point is, what is the point?
Yeah.
I sometimes lose track of the point. The point is that
yeah.
the music itself is the work. It's the preparation that goes into the final act, which is the performance, and then finally the recording, if you have a live recording of a particular performance. That's the final product. Okay, like a recording of your recital in Gaithersburg, Maryland, at the Bureau of Standards. Okay, I actually gave one there once. The Bureau of Standards has a concert series. You know what the Bureau of Standards is, right? Like, metric, feet, inches. The place that decides how to measure things. Okay, so the Bureau of Standards is a bureau in the government in Gaithersburg, Maryland, and they happen to have a series. Okay, so I played on it. It's a recital series. I don't know if it exists, but anyway, I played on it. So you get a recording from Gaithersburg. That's your final product. But what goes into the product is what this person valued the most, is the preparation, the scores, the gut work, the markings, he did this here or he changed that.
Right.
I mean, that's very valuable to some people, and some people, it's not to me anymore because I want somebody else to maybe benefit from it if they can. I'm not sure they can make much of my
I'm sure they
scratching,
could. Yeah.
But maybe they can.
So-
but maybe
so-
they were so personal they were just for me. But
To circle back, so preparation is important before you even actually sit down at the piano, for example. And we're still talking about door number 2, which is how do you prevent certain acts and
so we were
how that
originally
ties in.
talking about bombing a concert. So preparation is a big factor and a complicated topic when you're preparing for something. Preparation is very involved, in my opinion. Like, imagine if you're a painter I mean, of, visual art or
Yeah.
visual art. Like
Visual artist.
Michelangelo looking at a piece of granite and seeing the Pieta or the David.
Right. He doesn't just immediately start carving, right?
No, he has it all here. It's all there, and he sees it in the block of granite or marble. He actually sees it there. And that's how he carves it out. I mean, it's been documented. These people see mentally, they have a mental image
of vision.
What they're going to play, of what they're composing. They hear the Opus 132 Beethoven, even though he was totally stone deaf, he could hear it in his mind, and he put it to paper. And then he had his copyist copy it for the publisher, and then off to the races, paid everybody to play the piece.
So, yeah.
Pay to play, right? Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, it's all pay to
To
play.
prevent
But the point is,
these things.
there was great preparation to avoid a catastrophe, which would be going out on stage and not being able to perform, or going to a piece of rock and I don't know what to do with this thing. I mean, I'm supposed to turn this into a big statue. I mean, what the heck? I mean, I'm sure they thought like that sometimes, like, how am I going to do that? But then they had a vision. They had a realization of what they were about to do. And then
but let me ask you, right. So this is in the performance aspect, but we're also talking about other terrible things. Like, how do you prevent terrible things, awful things happening,
Okay, let's talk about something terrible.
How do you apply preparation to these other situations as well? Yeah.
Well, okay, let's say you're a serial killer, okay? Yeah, now this is really the opposite of where we're going here. Okay, there's not too much, because I have my own thoughts about this, that probably society doesn't like. They believe in rehabilitation, okay? See, the conventional thought is, oh, the poor thing, let's rehabilitate them. Well, I don't really believe that's where that should happen. That should happen before. In other words, let's say some guy kills 32 people. Okay. Yes. Let's say some guy kills 32 people. And then they want to rehabilitate the guy. It's too late, man. In my opinion, that is a fait accompli. Okay? I believe that someone should have noticed the inkling in that person early and should have said, okay, we need to do some work here. Saw the perversion, had an insight into the mind, and tried to derail it, tried to solve the problem before it became a problem. Now, again, this kind of preparation is very difficult. This is where
preparation, comes in, but it's not so simple or straightforward or direct.
Simple.
It's hard. Yeah.
In this case, it would take a parent, perhaps, to see something in their child that was developing and to try to divert it into something else and keep it from happening. But this would require great insight, in my opinion. Right. It's not easy to guide somebody. If you see someone going down that forbidden track or road, how do you get them to take the right road and, say, no, you're doing something wrong here. You're barking up the wrong tree, and you need to go here. How do you convince that person to do so?
You have to give them the right circumstances. Given the right circumstances, we're capable of anything, right? If we go with the theme of the show, you just, if you're able, you have to find the right circumstances. And that should be possible despite being very difficult. But
it should be possible to influence someone. Like when they say he or she influenced them. Think about that, like teachers. I can see him in his playing, or I can see her in his playing, or meaning the teacher. Well, that's called influence. and people are now called influencers, right? They're content
Right.
creators and they're it's very similar. If you're conditioned a certain way, you can subvert certain actions. Okay?
Yeah.
But like a lot of people believe in the bad seed, end quote, quote unquote. The bad seed, like in every barrel of apples, there's a rotten one. I'm not totally convinced of that. I mean, in a physical aspect, yeah, there's probably going to be a rotten apple in a barrel of apples. But if you're talking about people and things and stuff like that, I think you can avoid that rotten apple. But it takes great insight and care to do it. In other words, to subvert the perversion that we're talking about, like the obsession with killing
Catastrophe
or some catastrophe kind of thing. You have to see it before it happens.
Oh,
Like some
so
of these
again,
movies,
again, you're seeing
these-
it before it happens, like the vision that we're talking about, when it
Right,
comes to
like-
performing.
Yeah, it's like these movies where the character can see the murder before it happens, and
Right,
it's
right,
like
right.
some
Okay,
futuristic- yeah,
Maybe we've had
some-
enough of serial
right.
killer talk. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all that kind of thing can be done without this fantasy movie stuff if the right circumstances prevail. Let's say the father of the child is extremely tuned in to what the child is about and sees him derailing and says, "Oh no, come back over here.
Right,
It's
right,
over
right.
here.
Yeah.
This is where you want to be, not over there." Now, this can happen, but it's very difficult.
So
That's what I wanted to say.
okay, yeah. But so did we go over the positive side of it? It's not just all bad. Given the circumstances, we're all capable of something bad, right?
No. I said success. Like, for example, to have a, if you're a real estate agent, for example, what is success in terms of real estate? Well, I've talked to a number of them, oddly enough, and their answer is this: don't be in a hurry. It's a methodical thing. You got to start with going door to door, building up your clientele, building up your leads, saying, "Hey, are you interested in selling your house? If you are, here's my card." Go like that and try to build up a group of people or a following. That's the
Part of
whole
the
idea
preparation. It's also
the whole
a process
idea of
preparation.
it's the whole idea of having followers. Okay, like disciples, or if you're a teacher, a piano teacher, you want to have a studio, or a lawyer that wants to have a lot of clients. They've got to somehow develop that clientele, and that takes, to avoid the disaster, which would be having no clientele, you have to prepare methodically and slowly. Look, Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is any other situation. That's a good example because,
it all takes preparation.
The empire.
It takes preparation and a
over
vision.
1,000 years.
Yeah. Okay.
It's all preparation.
All right.
Good or bad, it's preparation.
Yeah. All right. I hate to cut you off here, but we are running out of time. And I think we've gone over, given the right circumstances, we are all capable of anything, whether good or bad. It's great, fascinating getting what Jack Price really thinks here on the show. So I want to thank you so much for being with us, Richie.
You're welcome.
Yep. Yeah. And the time is right. We got to go here. I do want to take a moment to quickly thank our partners and sponsors. You can see them all up on the screen here, from all over the world: orchestras and organizations, academies, schools, publishers, without their support, we would not have the show today. And also, I want to also mention that we are streaming on all the major streaming platforms, whether it's Vimeo, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, even Instagram. Check us out on your favorite platforms. We will be there. And today's podcast was powered by Krisztian Palagyi, directing behind the scenes. That's him right there. Could not have done it without you. And we are sincerely grateful to have you and all of our partners and supporters along with us for this journey. So with that, that's all we've got for you today. This has been Jack Price's Right. I am your host, Jennifer Savage, and I hope you've gotten a little something out of it. I know I did. See you next week.